My name is Shazmeen Husein Bank. I am a life coach. I'm a certified NLP practitioner, a certified master hypnosis. I am a certified biostress feedback and EQ specialist. I have studied in the Tony Robbins University, and I've pretty much been doing life coaching for almost 10 years now. So I am so excited to take you through my journey, show you where I've come from and how all of this began. But to start with, I was born in Nairobi, Kenya. I have lived here almost pretty much all my life. I love it. This is home, the culture, the feel, everything. I went to primary and high school. One school I was in, I didn't get to do what a lot of other kids, did, which was jump from school to school. So I was in Premier Academy. That's where my education began. But funny enough, I always felt like I never fit into the typical education system. I always felt a little different. I felt that even at a young age, life was so much more than just school. And from a young age, I was so into wanting to read these different books. And I remember, my dad could afford buying me one book a week. And I used to read Sweet Valley High. And I still remember it was 170 bob, and I would be done in 2 days, and I'd be so bored, and I would go into my mom's library and I would pick these different books she had, and I would go through them. So I had a hunger for the different stuff she had, which was meditation. And one of the first most interesting books I read, which was When You Hear Hoofbeats, Think of a Zebra. And then there was different books like, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. That was one of the first books I read at 13. And so I went to school, normal high school life, normal primary school. I had two beautiful parents, really supportive. I had a mother that really pushed me into debating. And I feel that was beautiful because I feel I found a lot of my voice there. I have one older brother. He's 2 years older, still bullies me to death. Even though I try to mentally sort of win him over. But yeah, he'll still physically bully me to death. And I grew up with 5 dogs. So I had a pretty normal childhood, I would say. And my story kind of had a different spin because at 18, I was still in high school. And I had 3 months left to my A-levels. And I found out I was pregnant. And that's what was so fascinating about my story.
Okay.
And then from there, I became a mom and a wife straight away.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I find out I'm pregnant,
Mhm.
and then it's an Indian culture, it's an Indian society. So, that was just absolute taboo. And I was told, you have a choice to abort the baby. And I was supposed to go to university in 3 months. And I said I didn't want to abort the baby. I wanted to have my child. And I remember I found out I was pregnant, and on the scan it was already 3 months. And I remember the doctor telling me he has 10 toes and 10 fingers. Your baby's healthy, my dear, if you want to have him. And I felt like I have to do this. I can't take life away. And I had all my family. You can imagine being Indian, what that felt like. And everyone was like, look, if you abort the baby, you can go to university, start life. And I made the decision not to. And with that came, then you have to get married immediately. So I didn't have time to process that I'm pregnant. I didn't have time to process, what does this mean? I'm not going to go to university. How's my life changing? Because I got married in a week. So I found out I was pregnant on a Tuesday. And then I have to get married the next week, Wednesday. My husband came home at that time and he was like, I'll marry her, I'll take full responsibility. But both of us didn't understand how life changes. You don't get it. You're 18 years old, you're not set up to have a child, to have a mother-in-law, to have 2 sister-in-laws, to go into a new community, experience new culture. And so in a week I got married. So I was a wife, a mother, so many more newer roles. And I had a lot of family at that time that stopped talking to me because of the decision I made. So it was a very hard, very, very lonely time. And then in the marriage, because we were thrust together so fast, I chose to be at home. I went through the last 3 months of high school and everyone knew I was pregnant. So by now, people writing things on the wall that were just so hurtful and painful. I would walk into the exam room, and the room would go silent, and you just hear people whispering because they'd be like, she's pregnant, oh my God. And the words they would call me, it was really hard. So I would walk from that time with my head up, and I'd be like, you all can't affect me. But I would get into the car and I would cry and I'd break down and I would sob. And then I was married, and after 3.5 years of being married, it was a tough marriage because my husband and I went through a lot mentally, emotionally, physically abusive. It was really, really tough, and I couldn't talk to anybody because number one, all my friends are in university. Number two, I didn't really have many friends left because everyone stopped talking to me. But I had formed a beautiful group, and I had a very, very close friend from that time till today. So she's one of my best friends. Her name's Nisha. And she, took me in, looked after me. She's about, 9 years older than me. And so about 5 years into the marriage, I decided I was going to leave because it was just too toxic. And I still remember my very, very, very close friend at that time went for an interview. So she had come back from university and she went for an interview, but the company was not what she was looking for. And she was into journalism. And I remember we were sitting in her sitting room and she was like, so I went for this interview and it's so random that it had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. And I said, what's the company? And she says, it's real estate. And I said, okay, and what did they need from you? And she's like, they were kind of looking for a PA. And I, in my head, thought, okay, maybe I could do that. And I didn't get a chance to go to university, but I was consistently self-learning. So I was reading voraciously. And I remember going for the interview, and my boss asked me, I need a CV. And I remember thinking, what's that? I don't know what that is, and what am I going to put pregnant at 18, currently being a mother? And so I sold myself to him, and I was like, this is what I can do, this is my capability. And I hounded him down for 4 months. So I think in the beginning he was politely trying to tell me, you might not get the job. And he'd be like, call me next Tuesday. And I'd be like, what time? And I would call, and he'd be like, I'm not in the country, call me in a month. And I would call in a month. And so after about 5 months, I got the job. But we didn't know where to put me in the company. They didn't know what to give me to do. And I started off with petty cash, and I hate math. Oh my God, do I hate math. So I'm so grateful to be married to a man who just loves it. And I remember they put me in petty cash. And the funny thing was, I knew I was creative. I knew I was artistic. I loved the company I was in. I knew I could do more. But it almost seemed like, because you haven't gone to university, you have to start somewhere. Lower. So I was good with that. I'm like, I'll do it and I'll work my way up. All I need is to get in, and that's all I've done. I have a dream to one day sort of have kind of like an orphanage that looks after them and protects them. And that led me to wildlife photography. So I do a lot of that. I've traveled with beautiful teams from around the world to be able to learn it. And so yes, so I photograph wildlife. It's my downtime. It's when I escape and I just connect and I feel I understand nature in another way. Hence my 5 cats. And I love to paint. So I paint in my free time. I feel that's sometimes when I feel a little stressed, I can put color on canvas. So I create things like this. And so all the paintings in the house are by me.
All of them, the house are by you?
All of them. And then, yeah, I love it. And then it's a beautiful gift to give people. And the other thing I love doing is writing. So I write a lot of poetry. And that's just like something I absolutely love to do that a lot of people don't know.
Nice. Who is someone that you admire?
2 people. I absolutely admire a man called Imam Hussein. And that's actually the reason I put his name in as my middle name. Because he was a man that stood against oppression and suppression for humanity. And so I love the ideology of it. And so I make sure anything I do is to help people that are feeling suppressed or oppressed. And that's become my mission. And the other man that I absolutely love and adores Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Because he's just been my mentor my whole life.
Mm-hmm. I saw your name have meanings.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
So Shazmeen actually means Queen of Land. Hussein stands for oppression and suppression. And then Bank is just a really cool name. But my husband got that name because of the trust in the family. People used to leave a lot of goods in the olden days, a lot of wealth with their family. And they were trusted to look after it like a bank. And so, yeah. So trusted to fight against oppression, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So, how do you want to be remembered?
Definitely for impacting lives. I'd want to be remembered as someone who helped people grow, help people reach their dreams, help people see potential in who they are, and then definitely for work in humanity, because that's something I really want to do at some point.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to, take everything I've done in the last year, start working, start earning from a different level of field, and then use those funds to do things like the halfway home, looking after animals. And so I want to be remembered for just touching lives in the most sincere way possible.
So working as a couple is very, very powerful for us, because one thing that it has done is it has, every time we are able to teach anything, we first make sure that it reflects in our own lives first. And most importantly, it's by changing our own lives that casually when we learned, we were changing other people's lives around us and we were impacting them in a positive manner, that we went on to learn even more.
So my son decided last year he wanted to pursue a passion in racing and to be an athlete. So he was actually preparing to go to Harvard University and then decided I want to switch and follow my dream of karting. And so he spent his first year this year in the Kenyan Championship and he came second, which was a huge achievement because he's never trained, he doesn't have a teacher like other people do. And it's what he lives, he breathes, he sees, it's his passion to race at 120 kilometers an hour and give his mother a heart attack every single time he's doing it. But he loves it, it's just who he is.
Perfect. So, you just talk about those trophies, right?
So I absolutely love racing, like Mom said, and I participated in my first championship, which was the Kenyan Karting Championship this year in 2021. And my first 6 races were not counted points-wise because it was my first season. So theoretically, I would have come second, but I think I finished like 6th in the championship because I didn't get any points. And these are just some trophies that I picked up along the way in my first season of karting. And yeah, they're really fun. We race all over the country, in Nakuru and in Athi River, sometimes in the Rift Valley. So it's a passion of mine that I want to pursue and I really enjoy it.